Good afternoon and welcome back to San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. Today we are bringing on Billy Egan. He is the tournament director for Western Outdoor News, and he's going to be running the U.S. Open next week. So hopefully we can get him on here. I know we took a little bit of a break. I missed Thursday and then I missed Tuesday. We had a big one out last week. Andre Casey came on, and that was a freaking awesome one. Set kind of viewing records for us and whatever. Super great guest, and along with Tony. Tony's going to be back next week. But right now, so we're going to have I got a whole list of guys that we're going to put on the podcast that we're recording this week. So we get back on schedule here after taking a kind of a break. I'm a little busy right now. Got 2 tournaments this month. I got a 2-day tournament this month. I'm not going to make the U.S. Open, but I'd like to say congratulations to Kevin Norling and Dan Hermes for winning the Tournament of Champions National Bass West at Lake Havasu this past weekend. They killed it, won it by several pounds. First day they had 21 pounds. Second day, they came in with enough weight to secure the victory in a grand fashion. Hopefully we can get those guys on here this week, maybe next week. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on here.
No problem.
San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast with Billy Egan. You're like our biggest guest so far. We're a little podcast down in San Diego.
Let me know if you need help with some bigger guests, because there's a lot bigger ones than me out there. But I appreciate that.
All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. I know you're super busy with the Open coming up, and welcome everybody to San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. We've got Billy Egan on this week, the tournament director for Western Outdoor News. And thanks for coming on, Billy.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, just packing up right now, actually. Loading up the Ranger Z521 that I'm towing out to the tournament with a bunch of tournament gear, prizes, contingency items, all that fun stuff, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and getting ready to go out there and run a successful event.
Absolutely. Everybody's looking forward to it. I know Dennis Colander, he's a friend of mine. He's going to be returning back. All right, we'll try it again.
Okay.
That was my partner calling about if the local tackle shop had any more rock crawlers. But anyway,
Gotcha.
So anyway, welcome back to the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. This is all recorded, so I can edit it.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, like I said, Dennis Colander is he's going to be returning to the U.S. Open. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. Tom, I don't think Tom Lowry is going to make it either. I've had them both on this podcast, so yeah, they're good friends of mine.
Yes. Yeah. He did real well at Lake Mead, though.
Yeah, Tom did really well. That was a great podcast. We had a lot of listeners for it. So do you need any AAAs for the U.S. Open?
Right now, we are at 175 pros and 173 triples. I've got 2 AAAs that are talking about signing up, so it's possible I may need a couple more. I don't anticipate too many more pros coming out of the woodwork in the next couple days, but you never know. There's always a possibility. Right now I need 2. It's possible I could use maybe 2 more after that, because we always find out day before the tournament somebody couldn't make the trip, some family issues came up, so it's always good to stay in touch, reach out to us on our social media platforms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Send us a message, say, hey, I'm available to fish. I'd love to fish if the opportunity is there. That way I can put you on a hot list, and if we need somebody, we just reach out to them. So
yeah. So okay, so that's awesome. Has like the official pre-fish days, have they started yet?
Well, we don't have official practice anymore,
right?
Because National Park rules that they particularly have and the possibility of them permitting those days and canceling them based on wind or something. So we got rid of official practice about a year. I think this mid-year last year or something like that. And this was the first year we went across all events the same way. It's actually it's a problem solver because a lot of people have questions. Can I fish with this particular person? Can I do this particular stuff?
Oh, right. Yep.
Department of Fish and Game rules still apply. It's not a free for all, but at least prior to the event, there's nothing that breaks any rules and would disqualify somebody for not being able to fish the event, other than violating the 2 week off limits that we had for this particular tournament, because it's the only event we do have an off limits for. But Catherine's Landing reported back to us that there weren't any tournament bass boats that were launching in the 2 week off period.
Uh-huh.
I got some pictures sent to me, and they were obviously a little older Rangers that I don't think were tournament boats that were just out taking advantage of the lake being empty for 2 weeks. But
Right.
the lake opened back up on last Saturday at
Oh,
Safe.
okay.
So there's 8 days that you can fish before the U.S. Open, and the final day, Saturday, this coming Saturday, before the off limits for Sunday for the expo that we do, and the Hall of Fame, and the mandatory meeting.
So are you going to have another Hall of Fame induction ceremony this year?
Yes, we're gonna do it every year at the U.S. Open. We're gonna induct
Okay.
new people. We're not going to be doing 5 every year because I don't want to run out, and want to make sure that the people that we're highlighting from here on out and have get their fair due. So this year we're inducting, and they're all fishing the event as pros, which is pretty darn cool. And they've all won a U.S. Open, which is pretty darn cool too. So you've got David Glebe, you've got Gary Klein,
Nice.
and you've got Gary Yamamoto. So all 3 are
Wow.
up
Nice.
the Wombass Hall of Fame. We'll be doing that at around 5:30 at the expo on Sunday, where everybody's welcome to come to our expo. It's open to the general public. Jimmy Houston's actually flying out for the day, so he's going to be there to greet everybody and get on stage with us and probably make people laugh a lot. And then we've got over 30 sponsors that are attending the expo this year, bringing their products out and greeting everybody that wants to come by and say hi. It's at the Edge Pavilion at the Edgewater Casino. And it goes from 2 to 5 o'clock on Sunday, the 13th. And then we roll right into the Hall of Fame induction. And then right after that, we do the mandatory meeting and get started on Monday morning.
Dave Glebe is one of those names, especially with my friends here, my older friends here in San Diego. They talk about him past U.S. Opens from the '80s and whatever, and how good of an angler he was. Uh-oh, now we lost Billy. Oh, he probably got a phone call.
Where did we leave off?
Dave Glebe is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I was just mentioning that he's like one of the names that keeps being brought up from my older friends. The guys that are in their
Yeah.
70s, and they fished the U.S. Open back in the '80s and fished opens and whatever tournaments, and they always mention Dave Glebe and his pitching skills, and I think he's not a name that we don't hear much anymore. But he was the man.
He dominated. He went back east and he fished some of the bass events, and I think Redman events, and some of the bigger events back there, and did pretty well, and traveled with Gary Klein and all,
Yeah.
back then. And he currently lives in Northern California, works at Bass Pro Shops, and fishes the U.S. Open every year. So he, as long as he's still capable of fishing, he's still a threat out there. There's so much history. There's a story written by Terry Battisti in our U.S. Open preview issue that's available in our paper, and I think online as well, Just kind of going over some of the specifics for all three of the guys. But some pretty cool information on Libe, Klein, and Yamamoto that a lot of people weren't maybe aware of, especially the younger guys getting into the game now. But it's good to have them fishing the event as pros and also being inducted into a list of now, including them, 13.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how was, what's the water level doing at Lake Mohave? I saw the report that they were bringing it down and then they sustained it. And now
Yeah.
I'm seeing another report they're bringing it down again.
I was there right after Lake Mead. Stopped down there to see a couple of people because the anglers couldn't fish. So I figured, why not get out there and do a little fishing myself? And they had started dropping the water. There's a buddy of mine lives on the river downstream from it in Laughlin or Bullhead City area, and we noticed that it was dropping down. And he had seen the report that they were going to drop it down to 1/4, or I forget their measurement down there, but that it was going to stay that way because Lake Powell was retaining water for a while. Plus, they do it every year this time of year, anyways,
Mm-hmm.
for the
Mm-hmm.
chub, I think it is, or one of the fish for the spawning up there. But there's different reports on what level they're actually going to drop it to. Typically, I was always told that it drops no further than 8 feet, but I think last year was about 10 feet during the US Open. But the good news is that process happened right when I left Lake Mead. So it wasn't like they did a one big drastic drop 3 days prior or during the practice of the US Open like it's typically been. So the lake should be pretty stable. It may be dropping a little bit still, but the dramatic part's already over and has been for a little while. So the fish should be relating. It just depends on the water temperature up there. 2 years ago, the water was warm, and Bertrand was able to win fishing deep. Some of the guys that fished deep did a little bit better than last year. The water was a little cooler, so the fish were a little more shallow, and Kyle Grover is able to capitalize on that. So we're seeing some dropping temperatures leading up to the event, getting down in the 80s, 90s, lower 90s during the event. And hopefully that's enough to drop the water temperature down a little bit, so it gives Mojave a little even playing field, if you will, for
Mm-hmm.
deep fish, shallow fish, and transitional fish. So, but Mojave is such a unique fishery. It's a great place to have the event. It's the equal to Lake Mead, if you will, closest thing to it, just a little bit bigger fish. Although the Lake Mead tournament we just had in September with Julius winning it with over 45 pounds shows you how healthy Lake Mead is right now.
So that's and we're almost going to wrap it up here because, like I said, I know you're busy. But I sent out a list of, I asked people for questions before when I found out you were going to come on here, and of course, the biggest question, number one question is why aren't we going back to Mead for the Open next year?
Okay, so based on being there in September this year with the current water level that they have and seeing the ramp at the level that it is in September now, I was going over before I left with Kim Roundtree, who manages Calva Bay Marina. There's a 2-year report that the water agencies will put out for levels so that people can be aware of where the water is expected to be at certain times for farming and other reasons. Obviously, they still have to have water going through there to use the turbines to create energy for Vegas, which is obviously a 24-hour lit light bulb. A 24-hour lit light bulb. They're drawing energy a lot, but based on the forecast that they already have, based on the information that they've received that Powell is going to release, regardless of how much rain or snow or whatever comes this winter, Lake Mead is going to be 5 feet lower in September next year than it was just now. And so that means that the 2 lanes at times we're able to get 3 trucks in at Colville Bay to launch at a time. That's with me on the ramp with a flashlight, telling the guys you got room. And basically force feeding them into 3 lanes means that the 2 lanes that we would have could possibly be only 1 lane in September of next year, let alone October. So that also affects Hemingway, even though they extend the launch ramp there, because we depend on the guys, a number of the guys launching at Hemingway anyways, to take over some of the crowding at Colville and the launch ramp. So with that information, and it's pretty accurate information, it's the decision we had to make, because it could be worse than that, let alone better than that, when they're already projecting that far ahead with the water levels. So
Yeah.
it's not because we have a multi-year contract with anybody out at Laughlin.
That's the popular guess.
Oh, they got a 3-year deal with Laughlin. No, year to year, they have rolled the red carpet out for us in this event, and Catherine's and Mojave. Everything's 15 minutes away. I mean, there are the diehard say, bring it back to Meade, bring it back to Meade. And then there's the other ones that say, oh my God, it's so much logistically easier to do an event here. But Meade is the place that belongs. It's just, it has to be under the right conditions.
Yeah. Okay. Did you, one more question. Did you pick up any new sponsors this year, or who are your sponsors for the tournament? Or,
Oh, geez.
Juan Bass.
We did pick up some new sponsors, but our tried and true this year, obviously, Ranger is our title sponsor. Bass Pro Shops, their brands, Triton, Nitro, and their other brands as well, Tracker. But Ranger is the title sponsor. Mercury is the co-sponsor with Ranger Boats, who's been a sponsor for many, many years. Then we obviously partnered with Bass Master to offer our anglers a Bass Nation opportunity for a chance to go to the Classic, where 20 guys have already qualified on the pro side and the co side, and now we're going to get our final 5 at the Angler of the Year race here at the end of the U.S. Open. You've got Power Pole. Bridgeford Foods is one of our larger sponsors, tier 2 sponsors, doing the Bridgeford in the boat, putting the $10,000 up for Angler of the Year prize. Lowrance, Phoenix, GSM Outdoors, Bill Lewis, Yamamoto Baits, Steel Shed, Sog Knives, Cold Steel, Berkeley, Abba Garcia, Fenwick, Costa, BioNO Batteries, new sponsor this year.
Yeah.
You got DD26, you've got Gamakatsu, you've got, God, I know I'm forgetting some, but a lot of great sponsors at the U.S. Open. People are going to see different from our typical all-year sponsors so far. PRP Seats, which is a seat manufacturer, has a soft ride system they offer for bass boats. They're going to be there. MegaWare is going to be there, who offers boat accessories, keel guards, and things like that. Above Water Rentals, which is out in Lake Havasu, that rents jet skis, wakeboard boats, and things like that. Sponsored the T-shirts this year, which is a good friend of Jay Wright from Life Source Water. So, but yeah, some good sponsors. We got all the support trucks coming out. Mercury's coming out. Anglers Marine is sending out their service truck. I think Phoenix Boats, because Gary's actually fishing it, is sending out their
Nice. Yeah.
truck as well to maintain their customers. So
Yeah.
it's a big event, big expo on September 13th or October 13th. I'm sorry, at the Edge Pavilion, and looking to crown a brand new champion. Give away a Ranger Z520 with the Mercury 250 on it, and a wad of cash, and Angler of the Year. Lots of stuff going on, and you know, as soon as it's over, we got to kick in 2025. So.
Yep.
Our events are listed up on our website for next year. We're looking forward to another awesome year with Ranger Boats, Mercury Motors, Bassmaster. All the opportunities are available again next year to fish with our events and qualify again for a chance at a Classic. So the West is won, is the way I like to put it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for putting on the biggest event on the West Coast with the U.S. Open, Western Outdoor News. Billy Egan, tournament director. Thanks for coming on, Billy. It's really appreciated for the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast.
No problem, guys.
All right. Talk to you later.
We'll see you later. Thanks, Bruce.